extremely honored to have with us today Congressman Hal Rogers. Congressman Rogers was elected to Congress in 1980, and he has a history of being able to distinguish what problems and challenges that we face, and then finding solutions for those challenges. He's done a tremendous job for this 5th Congressional District, and he's risen through the ranks in Congress. Now he's Appropriations Chair. I'm sure he would have liked to have had it at a little bit different time when the economy wasn't so bad, but still, what a great achievement for a local boy to go on to do these great things serving our country. And he actually served his country in Kentucky and North Carolina National Guard from 1957 to 1964. He has been absolutely amazing, one of the most visionary leaders I've ever had the opportunity of knowing and working with. An amazing gentleman, our 5th District Congressman, Hal Rogers.
Bonnie, thank you very much. Distinguished head table. My old friend Ken Lucas, former Congressman Ken Lucas from Northern Kentucky, we're glad to see him again and see him here. Well, welcome to this ceremony. You know, last Sunday night, when the White House called my apartment in Washington and informed me of the success of a raid that had just concluded that afternoon that nailed Osama bin Laden. It was amazing to me then, and still is even more so now, about the expertise, the courage, and the determination and dedication of those armed service personnel who took part in that courageous, brave, daring, successful raid that took out the man that has been responsible for thousands upon thousands of deaths across the globe in these last years. But it reminds us again of the debt that you and I owe to these people who have served in our nation's military over the years in so many different wars, some not even wars, nevertheless dangerous and requiring of courage and determination. None exceed the valor of these whose names are represented on this wall. Jan Scruggs, who sits beside me here, responsible for the wall. When I first was elected to Congress, thanks to you, in 1980, took office in 81, January 81, the wall was being described and discussed. It didn't exist, of course, at that time. But it was being, the charge was being led by a young fella then named Jan Scruggs. And there were a lot of controversies involved, like everything else. But Jan was the one who carried the torch and carried that dream into reality. There's no one person more responsible for this wall in Washington, D.C. than Jan Scruggs. And as the wall was being first constructed, I asked, I was a sophomore congressman, a freshman, I guess, at that time. I sought out Jan Scruggs, and I said, would you be so kind as to give me a little break about how this is being done? He said, come out to the wall and I'll show you. And so I went out there with Jan Scruggs, and he described to me the project under construction, what it would be when it was finished. And then, as now and as ever, as I take tourists and people from home out to visit the wall, which I do frequently, I think it's the most visited monument in Washington, I'm continually amazed at the genius that went into the design and the affectations of that design on the ground. As you descend from the beginning of the war And as you go deeper and deeper into the war, and deeper into the lives lost in the war, and then finally the degradation as the war began to wind its way down. It's an emotional trip, even for those of us who are not veterans of that war. We somehow sense the pain and the frustrations that actual Vietnam veterans, many of whom, feel. And so this wall in Washington is, I think, a stroke of genius. But it took action, and it took the work of this man among others, but especially Jan Scruggs, to see to the raising of the money, to the design of the actual monument, and the construction of that monument, and to this day even the care and upkeep and maintenance of that beautiful monument. But of course the monument is more than just a recognition of the people whose names appear on the wall. It's also a heartfelt place where Vietnam veterans can go and feel themselves the valor with which they all fought. And it's a place of great release and comfort and a feeling of sharing in a great and momentous event and occasion that was the war. And so we all today are here to salute Vietnam veterans, especially Vietnam veterans, but all veterans. We thank you for your service. We welcome you into our homes and our hearts. We want your success. We want your peace and comfort. And we want you to know deeply and profoundly how deeply we feel appreciative to your service. We're honored that this wall is here with us in South Central Kentucky, Southeastern Kentucky. What an honor it is to have this great replica of the actual wall in Washington here on these grounds and in this area of Kentucky. We wish tremendous success to Jan Scruggs and his team for the purpose of gaining the photographs of the names represented on this wall. He's told me a little bit about his plans, and I'm sure he'll detail them more today. But it's another effort to honor those who served and died in Vietnam. And so let's all be a part of the team now to gather the photographs of these heroes who died for you and me, so that we can more properly honor them even further in our nation's heart. Thank you. God bless you, veterans.